Welcome back to One Non Blonde. I'm your host, Kim, and today I have my friend Martin Nuza. How are you doing today, Martin?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much, Kim. It's been a lovely day. And it's always lovely to see you.
It's always lovely to see you too, and I really appreciate that you have a great eye. So thank you. So this is compliments of Martin giving me a little bit more of a space here. So thank you so much for helping me with my aesthetics.
My pleasure.
So, as always, when we get together, we'd like to talk about movies and what you're doing because you are a very busy person. For those of you who may not know Martin, Martin actually is in Gibraltar right now, and so he sent me a beautiful video. So maybe we can upload that video too on my page that showed the day today, and it was gorgeous out there today. So I got to see your beautiful wife as well. So thank you for that beautiful image to start my morning off with.
My pleasure. It's a very lovely image of Gibraltar and the surroundings.
So I know that you are, because of the coronavirus, you've kind of been put on hiatus in the sense of getting your productions going. I know that when we talked about before, you were heading to Las Vegas, and we were actually going to meet in Las Vegas, but that didn't work out because obviously Las Vegas is shut down, which is it's almost like a horror movie in itself. you
It
know,
is.
you don't think about Las Vegas ever shutting down. But so can you tell us a little bit about that project and then the other projects that you're working on? And I definitely want to talk to you about the one that we were talked about off camera too. So the first one.
Okay. The one in Las Vegas is called Bloodthirst. I've helped develop it with the Mahal brothers. That's Michael and Sonny Mahal from Las Vegas. And it's basically a feature film set in post-apocalyptic world, and there's vampires and vampire hunters. It's a very nice film, also a very nice cast, and it was actually supposed to have been um, filmed on the 1st of April of this year. Everything was arranged, everything was prepared, and we had to cancel that a few weeks before the actual film date because of the lockdowns in place, flight restrictions for many of the cast, and the COVID-19 epidemic, and later turned out to be a pandemic. So that sort of halted us in our tracks. But everything is postponed until we're given the all clear from Las Vegas to open up again. And then, based with the correct legislation regarding the COVID-19, then we can resume the filming there.
I'm excited because I know that, this film is going to start the next stages because you have a lot going on. Your plate is very full. And I know this is the first portion that can start the rest of the year going. So I know that we talked a little bit about Station 211. So what do you think about conspiracy theories there, Martin?
Well, there's a lot of conspiracy theories going out in the world all the time.
Tell me about Station 211, Martin.
Station 211 is a very nice project. My partners in England, Russell Goh and Edward Collins, and myself, have been developing that project for the past year. We've created the script based on conspiracy theories. And it all relates to the secret Nazi base that was built before the Second World War by the Germans in Antarctica. And then from there, it escalates into the mysterious events surrounding the world, like, for example, the Bermuda Triangle, Area 51, and the recent COVID-19 outbreak. There's a lot of things going around with this COVID-19. Is it man-made? Has it been manipulated by man and released for some unknown reason? Or is it actually fact a viral infection created by wet markets? So we are putting fact and fiction into a feature film that will be the first pilot episode for an 8-part TV series afterwards. So conspiracy theories, this series is full of them. Imagine the X-Files with Project Blue Book, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but going it a bit one step further.
And I think right now people want that kind of, escapism, plus like they like have something to talk about. So this is like great water cooler conversation type of a project.
Well, it is, and it's going to be an eye opener. We also have a very nice and interesting cast attached to the project, and also a very nice friend of mine is a director, and he's actually an award-winning director, Massimilio Grecci, who's been in basically asked to film and direct this feature for us. And because of the topic is very interesting indeed, he couldn't refuse. All the
And
feedback we've had regarding the script has been positive 100%.
that,
Everyone loves it.
that's amazing. Now, I know that you said that this is like a series, but you said that if people want to give you other conspiracy theories to kind of work with, you're willing to listen and dive into it.
Yes, yes, we are. We have the structure set out of how the series is going to start and finish, but we're always interested to know what other theories are out there that may have passed our attention. So I welcome anyone who's listening and watching this podcast to send me an email or send you an email. You can forward it to me with interesting theories that we could adjust and incorporate into the series.
So I obviously some of the things you're touching on, you said Area 51, so you're talking about aliens, you're talking about, like you said, man-made, or is it something that was, manufactured, or is this, supernatural? So there's a lot of different things people can go with, because there's so many different cultures that have, even in their own culture, some kind of type of conspiracy theory.
Yes, there are. I mean, and we're not talking about just present day cultures. We have to go back in time. And one of the things that this series also touches, there's a lot of time travel involved. So we actually go back in time to the roots of some of these theories and actually how they began. I mean, we're talking about the pharaohs, the Incas, and Antarctica itself, and Bermuda Triangle. There's a lot of mystery still out there that needs to be resolved. And I think that this is a very good series that will undertake that very well.
I do too. So this is the kind of stuff I love, because it gives you an opportunity to like think, even though it's like you said, it's kind of fiction, but yet there's real world events or real world questions that are out there. And now you're putting it into an opportunity for somebody to start thinking about, oh yeah, that could have happened, or maybe this happened. And then it's going to allow people to even actually come up with more theories, which is, it would be interesting. I can still see this as something that's going to become a cult favorite, and you'll end up having yourself with your own franchise just with this alone.
Well, I mean, we just want to make a very good product. We want to make something that's never been done before to this extent. I mean, there's a lot of things out there, but this is actually one series that's going to delve directly at the heart of some controversial subjects too. But again, fact with fiction.
So would you? So I know that because you're global, so you're, like you said, you're not just going to stay with like the United States or within like Europe or something like that. So this really, again, that makes it in itself its own special thing because no one's ever really, people usually tend to stay in their own culture or their own backyard. They don't kind of like make it a worldwide as well as historically wide type of conspiracy theory.
Yes, like I said, on the first episode, there's some time travel involved. We actually go back to the Templars, the Knights Templars, in the 12th century. Second World War, of course, is very important because the base is actually built in Antarctica by the Germans. But in later episodes, we're going to go to the pharaohs, the Egyptian times, the Incas, um, space, aliens, where they came from, for the Area 51. So there's going to be globally, as you well mentioned, events happening in this series, and our characters will be sort of thrust into this, and they've got to solve the issues. And it's action-packed adventure stuff that people love.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is going to be one of those things that's going to be on my must-watch list of things to do. So, speaking of which, you have got a long list of movies that you've been involved in or projects that you've been involved in, and because of that, I think that gives you an opportunity to get to know a lot of people and to see the world in a different view. So, do you think that helped you when you started to create this? That you see a worldview instead of just your own little, your own little outside your door. Does that think that helps with your conspiracy theory kind of platform?
Well, you have to take everything into perspective. Um, when you write a script for the story, for any story, you have to have an idea of what you really want to express. So, traveling around, like I have for the past 30 years making films, I have seen and heard of many, many stories, legends, myths, and I think it's time now to implement most, if not all of them, into Station 211 series.
So a quick question: Sasquatch, is that going to come around, or you have a theory on that one?
Well,
Mm.
we have to see the series.
That's what I'm saying. Lock with there's a lot. So people need to tune in to find out what's going on because there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and we need to figure out which ones we that made the grade.
Well, there's many out there, and we're going to touch in not all because there's loads of them, but we're going to touch on the most important ones that we see fit. But again, if people out there want to send me more and want to send us more, so there may be some that we're not aware of, we will investigate them and incorporate them correctly into our characters.
That sounds really great because I think that this has a potential, like you said, of being more than just eight. I know you said there was a pilot and then the eight, but do you see this, like going further if you could?
Well, I hope we're going to do the one season, which is the pilot, and then 8 episodes. And if if people like it, people love it, and we have good feedback out of this and good reviews, we will consider doing a second season.
Is this the first time you've done a series? I know you do a lot of movies and a lot of things like that, but is this the first time you're like doing a series?
Well, it is the first time I'm actually spearheading the series. I've been involved in some series in the past. I've actually made 2 documentaries, which is part of a series, back in 2007, uh, based during the Second World War. But conspiracy theories like this and making a series out of it is actually something that I've wanted to do for many years. And I think now is the right time to do it.
Well, speaking of conspiracy theories, and this is a kind of a conspiracy theory, but it's still kind of in that same genre. You are worked on a project that talked about what happens when people go on cruises and then disappear. You want to share a little bit about that one? Because again, it kind of like stays in that same kind of genre.
Well, the project you're referring to is called Snatched, the Unforgettable Cruise. And it all started 2 years ago when I was actually watching a documentary on the TV about this girl or this lady who went missing on board an Alaskan cruise. Her name was Marianne Kendall Carver, and she went into a cruise. 2 days later, she disappeared. And the father started to investigate what happened to her daughter, and no one knew what happened to her or where she was. So I got in contact with the father, who was called Kendall Carver, who unfortunately passed away last December 2019. And he had formulated and created an organization in America called the International Cruise Victims Organization, where I learned there and then that it was not an isolated case about her daughter being um, gone missing. It happens a lot. People do actually go missing on board cruise ships. The first thing that the cruise line always says is that the person must have committed suicide. They've jumped off the ship. But there's also a lot of cases, sexual abuse, sexual assaults, crimes that actually happen on board the cruises. And some we hear about, others we don't. But Mr. Carver assembled this organization, and it's full of people, victims, who have reported these incidents to the organization. And when I wrote the script of this instance about this lady going missing and what could have happened to her, I sent it to Mr. Carver. He, in one of our video conferences using Skype, I remember him in tears because he loved it so much, and it's very sad what might have happened to her daughter. And unfortunately, he passed away without knowing what happened to her.
That's just sad. I mean, it's just scary, like because you think about, when especially when you go on a vacation, you become very relaxed. It's like, I'm not in my element, so I'm just going to be free. But like you said, you need to be hyper aware that when you're not in your element, you really need to make sure that you're protecting yourself, because you never know.
One of the problems, one of the misconceptions about a cruise ship is, for example, say the cruise departs from Miami. Yep. You automatically assume the cruise, because it's in Miami, you are in an American ship and you're protected by the American law. That's not the case. The moment you step foot onto the ship, even if it's docked in the port in Miami, in America, you are entering the territory of where that ship has been registered. So it can be registered in Bahamas, in anywhere in the world. And whatever happens on board that ship is under the jurisdiction and the laws of the country and the flag that's registered that ship. So people assume the ship is nice and cozy. I've been in cruises. It is a nice experience, but you have to be aware from the moment you step onto the ship to the moment you depart of your surroundings, what happens to you, if anything should go wrong. And, if you have children or elderly persons, always make sure, what happens when you leave your child with someone on the ship, because honestly, you don't really know them. And always be careful. Just always keep an eye out.
No, I think it's a good advice, because I think we just, like I said, I think as soon as we feel like we pay for something, and I don't think it's just an American thing. I think that's just above board all over the cross. I paid for something, so therefore I'm safe. This is my vacation. I don't have to think about anything. I think at work. I think, so, but like you said, you still have to be fully aware and educated and when you go away somewhere.
Yeah. And all these subjects and more subjects are all touched on Snatched, the feature film um, relating to these incidents. That's going to be a real eye opener, also.
Yeah, and then I know you have another one that talks. I know you do a lot of things with World War II, because I think that's something that you enjoy, like you said before, learning about. So the Shepherd is one that I'm looking forward to seeing, and then also you talked a little bit about the one about the serial killer, which sounds like this, very intriguing.
Okay, let's start with The Shepherd. The Shepherd we shot in Hungary last year, directed by my good friend Laszlo Illes, and basically it deals with Second World War. A How can I say this? A Hungarian shepherd attending his flock of sheep. He was actually hiding a Jewish girl and a Jewish family. Obviously, the Nazis came along and they integrated him, and he has to choose whether to save himself or save the girl. And it's based on a true story. It's a fantastic emotional drama. It's already won over 35 international awards, and it's a superb film. Also, the music score is fantastic. So I highly recommend you watch, if you haven't already, The Shepherd.
I'm
The
watching
other
it
one you
tonight.
Very good. The other one you're talking about is called A Cannibal Mind, based on a serial killer who actually got away with killing um, about 40 odd different people, but it didn't stop there. He actually ate them, ate the brains, because he assumed and believed that by eating the brains of his victims, he was more intelligent. And this murder spree lasted for 12 years, and it happened in India. So officially, there's about 45, 46 people known to have been killed. Unofficially, no one knows.
So, how did you come across this particular story? Did you see it somewhere, or how did you, manifest this one?
No, I didn't see it. No, actually, it all started with Scotland. We did Scotland again last year in England and in Mumbai in India. And my co-producer there, Adam Saini, who actually lives in England, he told me once about this story that also happened in Mumbai, and it sort of dragged into my mind like, that could be a very interesting feature, interesting story. So after we finished Scotland, we actually started writing A Cannibal Mind. And The Cannibal Mind this year in February won 2 awards in Las Vegas for Best Screenplay and Best Original Story. And it's based on these events. Returning to Scotland, Scotland has won over 65 international awards and was selected for the first entrance into the 92nd Academy Awards Oscars of this year. Unfortunately, it didn't go to the last level, but we actually went and had a foot into the Oscars this year with
Well,
Scotland.
nope. Next year it's going to be you're going to be in there because you're just amazing. What your vision and the projects that you do are all very diverse, but yet you could see your fingerprint on it, which is really nice. Which I think I was watching a documentary on filmmaking, and it seems like the films that are coming out now, there is that fingerprint from the producer directors that you could definitely see when you're looking at a film. You're like, oh, I see who that is. I can see who's behind that.
Yes, sort of leaving your mark behind. Um, the stories I choose, I like. Not in the sense I don't like serial killers,
No.
but I like the fact that that is story is unique. It's wow, look what this guy did, or the story about the ship, the cruise. Um, you know, make an awareness. So make sure that this doesn't happen to anyone else again. And Scotland, it's based on a gang rape. What happened is also based on a true story, and the rapist got away. So the father took it upon himself to hunt down the rapist and kill them, sort of self-revenge. So these are stories that are you listen to them and you say, my God, things bad actually happen in the world, and let's make it aware by making a film about it so people are actually aware of what can happen and hopefully it doesn't happen again.
I also think that the films also make us as people have to think about, if I was in that situation, what would I do? If that was me, what would I have, like, especially with the, like you said, the man who avenged his daughter, with the rape. It's like, where, if I was put in that shoes, what actions would I make? And then that helps you kind of like see the real human interest of, we all have pain. We all have these conflicts in our lives. So it's kind of like you bring in those raw emotions that we need to see as, like a mirror back at us.
Yes, and like I said, awareness, how you react in phrase in that situation, and of course you have to realize that a film, the way it's done, is fiction. Although it's based on actual events, on true events, it follows what the character we are representing did. But it gives you, as a person, an outsider looking at the character, a choice. Do I do the same what she did or he did, which ended up wrongly,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not, or do I go the extra mile and do it my way and hope for the best? So at least you have a 50-50 chance or understanding of what may happen.
I do. I love your, the work, your body of work that you have, because it, like you said, it does give you that opportunities. I am just so thankful to you, because you are a kind and gentle, in the sense of a true gentleman, but also you have a great vision. And even like talking to you, every time I talk to you, you bring out the better in me. And I thank you for that, because you're always giving me words of encouragement. You're giving me like little tidbits of advice. And that is just like, it's gold. And it's not just about, starting my podcast, but just in life. I think it's just really nice to have somebody in your life that has that kind of persona. And I think that's what you bring out in your films as well. You let people become a little bit better about themselves, like you said, being a little bit more aware, being a little bit more educated, and you do that in your life in general. So what you do in your life, you bring to art. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much for your compliment. You have to understand, when I started 30 years ago, that's 3 decades ago, I had no one to help me. So I had to learn the hard way. And that's why today I like to help people, and I have helped many people, and I will still help people if they approach me, and to make sure they do the right way, the right things, and make sure everyone's happy, really.
Well, I know that when I've called upon you, you've answered, and I really appreciate that. And I just, I really think that you are going to go even further. And next year, you're going to be walking the red carpet on the Academy Awards, because the next film you do is going to definitely get there. I just believe it, because you do have a great eye, and great, what you guys are doing is wonderful. You have a great team.
It's very important to have a great team, and I'm grateful that I have a very outstanding team behind me. And honestly, you know, it's not a one-man band. I don't do everything myself. I have to depend on my team. Without the team, there's nothing that can be done. And I have to thank them, if you don't mind. I'd like to thank
Oh,
Massimilio Recci, he's an outstanding director. I have to thank Adam Saini, excellent producer in England. Russell Goh, also a very nice producer in England, excellent. Edward Collins, also. And of course, Michael and Sonny Mahal in Las Vegas. And a long list of actors whom, you know who you are. I can't really say who you are because we will be here all night. Because I'm not going to say one and not mention the others. So if you don't mind, you know who you are, everyone. And I look forward to working with you again very soon.
well, I'm looking forward to working with you, because you've been really helpful to me. And I'm glad that you've agreed to do my podcast, and you've agreed to kind of give me some pointers, and he's got the director eye on me. He's kind of giving me where I need to go in my close-ups and my angles, and it's just like so much that goes on behind the scenes of everything that people don't realize. It's like when the lights camera action, they don't realize that that lights camera action has so many dedicated artists behind that. And so I think those are, like you said, the young sung heroes a lot of times that people don't even realize that are, you know, that do so much to make us as the consumer, you know, having these arts to look at. And so thank you for that, because it really does make a big deal, and it makes a big difference. And I think when you bring a team together and you, like you said, continue to use them for what they do, it gives you that sense of family, and it also gives them an opportunity to shine and be who they were supposed to be, which is what my show's about too, is just shining and being what you're supposed to be, and, you know, living your best life.
Well, it is teamwork, very important. Also have to mention, especially also Laszlo in Hungary, a very good friend also, and Jalif Lerner in Sofia in Bulgaria. And yes, we have to recognize everyone on the film set, but also everyone before the script actually gets into the screen. There's about different scenarios that people are may not aware of how it works. When you get a script or you write a script, it's not a matter of getting it and making it into a film. You've got to have a script analysis done, a breakdown of the script. You have to make a budgeting, a package of the product. You have to negotiate with actors, directors, crew members, location experts, find the right location, find the right actors for the characters. There's find the financing, which is very important because without the financing, there's no film. And make sure you have a distribution deal in place. It's very important before you actually film the first scene, which there's a misconception here because a lot of people assume that, oh, I've got a script, I've got a camera, I've got a crew, let's make a film. And they make the film, they spend maybe all the funds into this film, and then when the film's in the can and it's edited, you've got the music score, everything's done, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
And then you've got to find a distributor who's willing to take it on board, and it's frustrating. So I am fortunate that thanks to my contacts, we have distribution in place before we begin on all our projects, and it's very relieving to have that. But we're always looking out for new investors. So if anyone wants to invest in any of our films, you're more than welcome, and you're in good hands, and there's a very good return on your investment too.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because, like, I know a lot of young filmmakers, especially, they think that, like you said, they have this. I got it done. I'm shooting it now. They're trying to distribute, and then they're like hungry because they can't figure out why they're not getting it distributed. So, you know, how did you get, not necessarily the whole started, but what is, like, as somebody who's coming into the process, what can you give them some tips on? Not the, like I said, you don't have to give the whole story, but just some main steady tips to somebody who's really looking to possibly, like, you and I talked about it. I have somebody, we're trying to do this book thing into a screenplay. I'm kind of green on it, and I'm still like, I'm always texting Martin, asking him questions about it. But what do you do? Because, like, you're new. I'm new at this, and I'm trying to break into figuring out what's going on. So give me a few, like, the quick Martin tips that I need to know before I get started.
Okay, well, first of all, I do have a Facebook page where it's actually my personal account, where I get every week I get many messages of people, like you say, young filmmakers, asking me to give them some advice, or they've got this project, or they have this problem. How can we solve them? So I always help out everyone as I can because every case is different. So returning back to your question, tips. It's very important. A filmmaker, is patient. Don't run. Get your script ready, the script, your story. Make sure you find the right location, the right characters, actors for the characters. Make sure you find everything, the right crew, even the right camera, lighting for the scenes. How are you going to distribute it? You have to find a distributor or a distribution company that's going to take on board your project when it's done. Because without that, you're not going to get very far, unfortunately. You can do the film, if you're determined, you'll do it. But you're going to get stuck. If not halfway, you'll get stuck at the end. So my advice is simple. Be patient. Homework. You have to do your homework. It's not a question of just buying a camera, writing a script yourself or a friend of yours, get a few of your buddies, and right, we'll film it in this location because it's not used. No. Do it properly. Do your homework. Be patient, because a normal film that you see on a theater, on a cinema, normally is about 2 years of work before that film goes to the cinema for you to watch and enjoy. There's a lot of hard work involved. And the beauty of this is if you do it right, it is very rewarding, and it's hard. It's amazing. The feeling and sensation is priceless. There's no words that can describe it. And it also can be very rewarding also if you do it right. So be patient, don't run, do your homework. Get the script, get the distribution in place, get a good crew, good camera work, a good editor, because the editor will save your life. Even if the footage you give him is wrong, he can actually turn it around and make it beautiful.
Well, thank you for that great advice. And one thing I do love about talking with you, you're always so passionate about what you do. You're passionate about life. You're passionate about what you're doing with your life. And I thank you so much, because that's infectious, and that's a good infection, not the coronavirus infection, but the good infection.
Thank you very much for the compliment.
And it was so a pleasure to talk to you again. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. I know you've got a lot going on. And even though you're kind of homebound in the sense of you can't leave, you have not stopped one bit, and I do appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with me. So thank you again, and I'm going to have you back on soon, and hopefully when you're back and you're able to come to the United States, we'll definitely have to do another show for sure. Whether it's together, I'll go find you, or we can still Zoom. So thank you, and you for listening to One Non-Blonde. And again, check out Martin's work. The Shepherd is one that you need to definitely check out. And then Station 211, when it's coming out, that's a must see. It's like must see TV, must see cinema. Thank you so much, Martin. And again, for all my listeners, don't forget to stay real.
So here we have the Mediterranean Sea. We are right now at the very top of the Rock of Gibraltar. Got a few beaches down below. The highest peak is just there. Africa is over there in the distance. Then we've got the city of Gibraltar below, Spain on the other side. My wife over there. Some monkeys over here. And we've gone full circle. So, Mediterranean Sea, Atlantic Ocean, separated and creating the Strait of Gibraltar, which is just over there. It's quite cool, isn't it?
You're listening to One Non-Blonde, the podcast that goes beyond the surface and digs deeper for the truth around us. I'm your host, Kim. Join me for this weekly podcast where my amazing guests sit down and talk about what's going on in their mind. You might be surprised and always be entertained.